Good morning, y'all. So today I just want to give you a quick update on what's going on with the now two Chinese spy balloons that are zipping all over America doing what they want to do without us taking any meaningful response other than telling China, hey, yeah, I know we had this meeting, we're not coming. Anyways, so what they're doing is this balloon it started off at about 60,000 feet and now it's alternating between about 15,000 and 20,000 feet. They are using the jet stream to steer it to where they want it to go. So they're increasing and decreasing its altitude and allowing the wind to carry it in the direction that they want it to go. Which tells me it's not just some errant, civilian weather science balloon like they're talking about. That's absolutely not happening. So that's the first thing, is we can go ahead and dispel that, because you don't control something that's just gone awry. You apologize and go, my bad, and let it go. The other thing that tells me that it is absolutely 100% being used for collection is where it's passing. So it's going through some really interesting locations. So it's going through Missouri, and being a native Missourian, I'm here to tell you that there are definitely not a lot in Missouri, but the things there are very important to our military industrial complex and structure. First of which is there's Whiteman Air Force Base. And Whiteman Air Force Base is the home of the bulk of our B-2 bomber stealth fleet. So I'm sure they're really, really interested in seeing from that altitude what it is they can see that's going on at Whiteman. I mean, the biggest concern, if you're China looking at starting a war with us, is how are you going to deal with the strategic bomber fleet at Whiteman? I mean, those things, once they take off, they're gone. And the next time you see them will be when they open their bomb bay doors. So that's a problem for China. So I'm sure that's a great way to get a look at those things, if in fact any of them are outside. The second thing in Missouri that is a really, really big issue is the Boeing aircraft factory is in St. Louis. And they're kicking out all kinds of airplanes out of there, including the F-15EX, which is one of our newer front lines. It's not a fifth generation. It's like a fourth generation-ish air superiority fighter, which again, if you're China, it'd be really nice to know how many of those your opponent has, because it's not like we exactly publish, hey, here's how many are kicking out of the Boeing factory today, China, just in case you were wondering. So that is the next thing. And the third thing is there's a place called the Defense Mapping Agency in Missouri, and the Defense Mapping Agency's entire job is to create up-to-date current maps of places we may geopolitically want to have maps of. And I'm sure China's probably fairly high on that list, especially with the way things are going right now. So, you've got that. In today's day and age, do we have to have the DMA there? Do we need paper maps of absolutely everything? No, but with GPS, think about this. If they are able to, in some way, shape, or form, jam our GPS, which is improbable as it may be, it sure would be nice to have a place that could kick out paper maps, because as far as I know, and last I checked, you can't jam a paper map. You can not know where the heck you are, it happens, but you can't jam the paper map. So it'd be a really good thing to have, and if they know exactly where it is, exactly what it looks like, and exactly what buildings to hit, that sure would be a problem for us. So the next place that they've kind of steered it over is Nebraska. And another thing about Nebraska too was, is Nebraska a super interesting place? You can get a whole lot of information. Not necessarily. But what is in Nebraska, you ask? The answer is the Strategic Air Command Headquarters. Oh, well, now then. So Strategic Air Command Headquarters basically is the overreaching headquarters for our entire strategic bomber fleet and our nuclear deterrent. So this bad boy was started in the 1950s for the purpose of launching nuclear strikes against our enemies, the most of which at the time was Russia for the Cold War. But I mean, these are the B-52s, the B-2s, the B-1s, all the big heavy bombers are controlled by Strategic Air Command. So again, another one of those places. It seems somewhat weird that this balloon would just happen to fly close enough that they could get a look at it. So now we're showing that it is currently over North Carolina. Okay, great, North Carolina. Yes, there's tons in North Carolina. There is a Marine base that is very, very important in North Carolina. There is what I would say, the premier fighting force of the U.S. military in North Carolina, the 82nd Airborne. Maybe I'm biased, but you've got the 82nd at Fort Bragg. You have Pope Air Force Base connected to Fort Bragg. There's you know, Special Forces at Fort Bragg, Delta's at Fort Bragg. I mean, it is the special operations hub for the universe as far as the U.S. Army is concerned. So another thing there, while they may not get a ton of information because, you know, these are fairly secretive, protected sites, one of the great things that they are getting from it is some really interesting real-time information on exact numbers of what we have. I mean, as they fly by, you know, are they going to get everything perfect? No, but they can go, oh, look, okay, Apaches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now they have numbers. And when it comes to a all-out war with China, knowing exactly how many Apaches are at Fort Bragg would be a great piece of information, especially in a timely manner. So there's that. And part of that, as it tracks out of the country, it's going to fly close enough to Savannah that it can see the Savannah River nuclear site. Just another nuclear facility that it's flying past. In terms of our infrastructure and creating problems in America, especially, you know, you look at what were to happen if somebody would set off a bomb at one of these places or any of these things that could cause a nuclear reaction into a meltdown. That's a big problem for us, especially in Savannah. So now they're getting real-time intelligence of places that I can't even fly over. So they put up these flight restrictions over all these nuclear sites, and there's nothing good about flying over one of those things. I mean, you fly over one, expect to see an F-16 on your wing, shaking his wings back and forth, telling you to follow him so that you can get intercepted. So, yeah, I mean, these things, it's just flying willy-nilly over all these sensitive sites. Interesting note about it, though, and, you know, they play their games, we play ours. There is a USAF RC-135, so basically a really, really nice and really expensive spy plane that has been circling this thing for quite a while now. So it kind of makes you wonder, I mean, are we not shooting it down because we've intercepted the signal and we're sending them all kinds of, I mean, are we just sending them like, you know, YouTube videos and Mickey Mouse cartoons and messing with them in return? Or are we just monitoring what they're sending back and where it goes? You know, so that's a kind of a curious thing. I mean, that airplane is very expensive and is considered one of the high assets that we have when it comes to managing battle space and fighting a battle. So that's interesting. Another thing that's kind of funny about it is people are shooting at it, and you really shouldn't be shooting at those drones, at that balloon, because the maximum effective range of 5.56 is like 2.5 miles. So you're talking a little under 11,000 feet. This thing was at 60,000 feet and people are shooting at it. Probably not going to hit it. So I think shooting at it's probably out. You know, even at 15,000, you're going to need something pretty spicy to reach up to 15,000 and shoot that thing down. Not that there isn't stuff, but I imagine your, you know, 9mm handgun probably doesn't have the reach. So really the other big thing is everyone is, you know, up in arms about this spy balloon that is gaining all this information. Well, an interesting personal story, my middle daughter downloaded TikTok on her own, and of course I shut that down because not today, China. But the interesting thing is at the end of the month when I get the report on what she's been doing data-wise, there was 2.5 gigabytes of information used by TikTok. So what is TikTok collecting 2.5 gigabytes worth of information from my daughter on? That's an interesting question. So I think everybody's worried about all this, but what they do is they're worried about it and they hop on TikTok and make a video about it. So, you know, it's a matter of what we choose to be concerned with. So that's really kind of my thoughts on this whole thing. But yeah, this thing is still up there and it's on its way out of town. It's in North Carolina, headed out, getting some great information on its way by. The other one is in Latin America. Question there is it trying to track what our South American allies are doing? What's the plan there? So not as much information about that one, but this one is definitely, in my opinion, collecting on some of our very, very sensitive sites. So I'm curious to see what goes on in the next couple of days. And if you guys want to throw a question in the comments or make a comment about this, I definitely encourage you to do so because this is an interesting topic. And if you haven't yet done it, please subscribe to the page. It really makes it a lot easier for me to make more content. So thanks so much, y'all. Have a good day.